Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. I'm your host, the Game Master, and today we're talking about the Justice League. But before we get into it, smash like, make sure you're subscribed, and leave us a comment. We've got a great community here, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for being here. With all that said, let's dive in. Prologue to this one begins at the Justice League Embassy in New York City, where the heroes recover from the various injuries they received in their last adventure. And the United Nations gives the Justice League the go ahead to go after the Injustice Gang International, which brings us to the main plot. Returning to the Ferris Proving Grounds, the heroes known as Justice League International find a space shuttle fueled and waiting on the runway. Dr. Delancey and two of her engineers board the craft with the Leaguers, giving them a quick rundown on its systems and showing the heroes how to use the spacesuits. This is the X-1, Dr. Delancey says, prototype for our scramjet style of shuttles. She's been in mothballs for a while, so she may have some bugs we don't know about, but she ought to get the job done, though. The engineers give the heroes the coordinates for the LexCorp orbital factory and lay in the course. It's all in the computer, so it should be pretty automatic, they explain. And then Dr. Delancey shakes their hands and says, "Good luck." Then she turns and leaves the space shuttle. So the heroes blast off and head towards the LexCorp factory. As they do so, the autopilot shuts down, one of the aforementioned bugs that Delancey spoke of. So Blue Beetle takes over, rolls the dice, and it's a rocky ride. A couple of the other Justice League International members complain about his flying, and a nervous Ted Kord explains that a space shuttle isn't the same thing as his own personal flying vehicle. When the shuttle reaches an altitude of 1 mile and switches to ramjet mode, it's time for another roll of the dice. Again, Blue Beetle makes the roll just barely. So while he's keeping them in the air, the trip is less than ideal. When they reach the 12-mile mark, it switches over to rockets. And again, Beetle must make a roll, but this time he fails. So Power Girl is forced to get out and carry them the rest of the way. As she pushes the rocket within 1 mile of the villains, the LexCorp orbital factory comes into sight. It is shaped like a bundle of fat cigars. As the heroes get closer, they see that the so-called cigars are actually a ring of 6 metal canisters around a seventh central canister held together by metal struts and tubes. The heroes see the shuttle that brought the weapons here. It's moored to one end of the factory. A moment later, they see a flash of light from one of the canisters, followed by an incoming projectile. It's a hunk of iron fired from a railgun. Blue Beetle's ability to get the shuttle out of the way is questionable at best, so Power Girl takes the hit. The iron strikes her, but as one would expect, it does no damage. She returns fire using telescopic vision to aim and heat vision to do damage. She disables their railgun, and the heroes dock with the orbital factory. They enter through the main docking hatches, which are locked, but they manage to get them open without causing decompression that might endanger the civilian hostages here. Wearing a spacesuit means that several members of the team cannot use their powers. For instance, Elongated Man's stretching is stopped by his suit that won't stretch, and Fire can't flame on without damaging her spacesuit. Conversely, Maxima's telekinesis and Ice's ranged attacks do still work. As the heroes enter, the villains can see them using security cameras. The villains who are in the security room include Blackrock, Bolt, Copperhead, Dr. Polaris, Libra, and the Shark. One villain who's not here is Brainstorm, who's in the machine shop using the control power on 4 scientists. He's having them build casings for the various weapons so that they don't burn up on re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. The rest of the hostages have been locked into their quarters, and they are being guarded by 2 villains named Shatterfist and Nightfall. Seeing the heroes on the security screens, Libra shuts off gravity. So characters like Blue Beetle suddenly become weightless, making it harder for them to get to them. Libra also turns off the elevators and shuts down life support to the sections that the JLI are in. Blackrock and Bolt teleport to where the heroes are, and they bring Dr. Polaris and the Shark with them. We roll initiative, and Power Girl is the fastest. So she hits Blackrock, doing 20 points of damage, which knocks him out. She then multi-attacks the others with heat vision, knocking them out too. Libra orders Copperhead to attack the heroes, but Copperhead says the villains have already lost. The heroes reach the machine shop, and Brainstorm orders the hostages to attack the heroes while he teleports away. The heroes knock out the mind-controlled hostages, then keep going. All the villains fall back into the security room where the Justice League finds them, and they all fight. Libra reveals that clones have been made of her, and each clone has the adaptation power. So the various Libra clones copy the abilities of the various members of the Justice League. So Power Girl's counterpart is Power Libra, and Captain Atom's counterpart is Atom Libra, so on and so forth. After a few initial losses, the Libra clones change tactics, and they all mimic the powers of Power Girl, who has the best stats of anyone here. One of them punches the real Power Girl through the wall into space, and the LexCorp factory loses atmosphere in this section. On Blue Beetle's turn, he substitutes an Omni gadget for gold kryptonite, which means the Libra clones lose their Kryptonian powers forever. And before they can try to use adaptation on anyone else, it's Captain Atom's turn. So he multi-attacks them all with his energy blast. The villains are defeated and turned over to the proper authorities on Earth. But the Libra clones seem to have been created using more technology than the villains had access to. Which brings us to the epilogue. Libra is in prison, and she's told that she has a visitor. So she's taken to a dimly lit room. In the center of the room is a steel table with a matching steel chair. She sits down and waits. Suddenly, a low voice from behind her asks who she's working for. It scares her half to death. She turns and looks, and it's the Dark Knight. She tells Batman that she's the leader of the Injustice gang, and he growls and says that's not what he asked. He wants to know who she's working for. Batman rolls versus his intimidation skill and gets a great roll. So Libra explains that she was abducted by aliens and taken to their world. They created the clones. Batman asks, what aliens? Libra says that they're called the Dominators, and an invasion is coming. And that's a pretty good point to stop for now. Like we said in yesterday's video, this was part of a module for DC Heroes called World in the Balance, written by Michael Moe and Beverly Hale, published by Mayfair Games. And while the module is supposed to be a sequel to the big invasion event DC did in the late 80s, in our version, we used it as a prequel to the invasion. In our game world, the invasion storyline was a really big deal. Greg Sheets ran it in Worcester with a bunch of his friends. And if I remember correctly, that was when Jay Mora joined our gaming group. So for Jay, the invasion was his entry into our world. And then right after that, Jay moved away. When we were freshmen, he was the new kid at my school, and we bonded over DC Heroes. He started running the game there with new players, and he used the invasion storyline as the start of what he was doing. So I am super nostalgic for this era of our game. Sort of like how in this module, the Justice League of Europe and the Justice League International characters are about to come together as one. So too, in our game, did players from multiple schools come together and form a larger circle of friends. Anyways, so we had a really good time with this, and we hope that you enjoyed hearing about it too. If so, as always, smash like, check to see if you're subscribed, and leave us a comment. From everyone here at the longest running superhero role playing game on earth, we hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Bye.